All right, so I'm gonna be talking about the classifications of injury. Um, yeah, my notes are all like around. All right, so with the classification of injury, first I'm gonna touch a little bit on the mechanism of injury and also the level of injury. All right, so the mechanism of injury. So we have the flexion, which is like that. So let's say you driving, going to the mall, you have your seatbelt on, doing all the right stuff, and somehow you get into an accident and your head goes like that. There might be a spinal cord injury, and this one would be like there'll be an injury to your posterior. So posterior is going to be like a posterior injury. Okay, so let's say the other type of injury, let's say you are jumping, I don't know, jumping, and your your head goes like that. Oh, that hurt. All right, so that would be what? It's gonna be a hyper extension injury. So there's gonna be an injury in the anterior spinal cord. Got it? All right. Also, compression injury is basically like, let's say you jumping into a shallow pool of water and you bust your butt. I don't want that to happen. Anyway, yeah. So that one you might displace your vertebrae. So that's also another type of injury. Yeah, my professor didn't go so deep into that, but yeah, that's the little touch I have about that. So now let's talk about the level of injury, the juicy part. All right, so there could normally cervical and lumbar injuries are the most common in spinal cord injuries. So in cervical injury, it normally leads to like paralysis of all four quadrants. So and your legs, right? Hands and your legs. So if there's a high cervical injury, then there will not be total paralysis in your arms. So high cervical injuries involves C1, C2, and C3. C1, C2, and C3. There will not be total paralysis in your arms, meaning that they could still use a wheelchair and like move around with, like, you know how the electrical wheelchair, like they still have the motor in their arms. All right. If the injury is below C3, so like C4, C5, then there'll be total paralysis. Backtrack. So in high cervical injury, they might need trach. Normally they end up having a trach and also being on a ventilator. They don't really have to be on a ventilator forever. They could get off a little bit, but they're still vent dependent. Um, in the C3 and C4, normally they need the ventilator. They like absolutely need it. Because they have total paralysis. So thoracic injury results in paraplegia, which means no sensation in your legs. Also, with the lumbar injuries, also leads to paraplegia, no sensation in your legs. So recap. All right, so levels of injury. Always remember that high cervical injury, C1, C2, C3. Partial paralysis. There's no paralysis in the arms. I mean, your hands. Makes sense? But in your legs, there might be paralysis. But in C4, C5, there is total paralysis. These people need vents. These people need trachs. And thoracic and lumbar injuries, they normally end up in paralysis. I can never say that word. Paralysis in their legs, which is called paraplegia. Yeah, I don't know. I hope I helped. I'm also learning.